Ladies and gentlemen, this is criminal justice reform done right. Please welcome, from the state of Georgia and host of the Doug Collins podcast, former Congressman Doug Collins.
Good morning, CPAC. How are we doing this morning? Oh, wait. Did some of you stay out just a little bit too late? I mean, kidding. Are you kidding me? CPAC Texas, you got Donald Trump coming tonight. You got the last day of CPAC. Are you ready this morning? I tell you what I'm amazed at. You know, in the last few, can you believe it's been a little over 18 months of the Joe Biden presidency? How many of you feel like it's an eternity? We're trapped in the seven levels of hell from Dante. But what I want to say is this, when I see the programs and I see the policies being put out by this administration, it reminds me of the former press secretary for Joe Biden, Jen Psaki. I see we have some fans. One of the things, though, that I used to like about Jen Psaki, she always would come up and she would say, well, let me circle back with you on that. Let me circle back with you on that. I don't know about you, Texas, but I'm ready for us to circle back to a time in which we had a leader who actually led this country, who actually put America first, and that's what we need to be doing. That's where we are. I'm reminded of a time under a president who actually cared about people. I'm actually reminded of a time under Donald Trump when he reached out to everyone, no matter what they looked like, what their skin color was, what their background was, and he put this out there and he said, look, I believe in America first, and I believe that everybody has an opportunity to succeed. And when we look at criminal justice reform today, when we look at what George Soros is doing in your communities, another fan I see. I'm going to tell you right now, many of you are really engaged in thinking about 2024. You're engaged in the congressionals and Democratic and Republican races for Congress and others this year. But I'm going to warn you about something. You need to be aware of what's going on in your district attorney races, in your judges' races locally. You need to be aware locally. Don't just focus big, focus locally. Why? Because George Soros has spent $50 million corrupting our criminal justice system with a lie that says criminal justice is about letting people go. It's about not prosecuting crimes. And I'm here to tell you right now, when they stand up and say defund the police, they mean it. They would rather have a counselor show up at your doorstep than a police officer, and the criminals know it. That's not criminal justice reform, folks. That's not what the American Conservative Union, that's not what CPAC's about. That's not what for many of us who fought with Donald Trump for things like the First Step Act, because we believe in people. You don't believe I'm serious about this. George Soros has spent this money, and you've gotten the folks like Mr. Gascon in Los Angeles, who, by the way, let me just say, if you're watching on TV, I hope you're up a little bit early. You're getting ready to be the next DA recalled by people who are tired of seeing George Soros try to run our DA system. How about Kimberly Fox from Chicago? Another George Soros recipient. I mean, understand something. When you're a prosecutor, your job, okay, I know this is tough, and I know for maybe liberals watching this morning, this may be hard for you to understand. When you are a prosecutor, your job is to prosecute crime. It is not for you to stand up and say, as the DA in Manhattan says, aggravated assault, not a felony anymore, that's a misdemeanor. Folks, that is corrupting what we need to do. So I just have a few things I want to share with you this morning. I know this is going to be common sense. It is only for CPAC. It's for those listening. Liberals, if you want to listen, I would encourage you, find a piece of paper, find a tablet, take notes. Because conservative criminal justice reform actually says that we keep our communities safe, number one. Understand something. They want to defund the police. I'm going to say something. All right, we're a small group here. Nobody else is watching. I want you to lean forward just a little bit. Lean forward. I got the first thing for conservative criminal justice reform. I see you up here. Here it is. It is fund the police. Stand up for them. They're the ones that keep us safe. They're the ones that are out there on the front line. When you need somebody, I'm going to tell you something. When I need somebody at my door, I don't want to call a counselor to say, hey, could you come talk him down? He looks a little agitated. Can you come talk to him? No, or her, I want a police officer who's there doing his job. And I don't know about you, CPAC, but it's time we stand up and support those officers around this room and around this country who do it every day. It's time they quit getting attacked. It's time we stand up for them, because that is who America is. But it's also taking in common sense. And this is what Donald Trump did. This is what we did as Republicans when we had the opportunity to pass things in states like Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, Kentucky, and others, where we passed real criminal justice reform that made communities safer. Our police were given the abilities to do what they need to do, and we actually prosecuted crime based on the crime and what was going on. Now, for some of you, you may be wondering, you hear all the liberals talk about, well, criminal justice reform is letting people out and lessening sentences and no bail and letting somebody who attacked my friend Lee Zeldin in New York, actually attacked him, was out of jail before Lee probably finished his speech. That's wrong. And what we need to understand is criminal justice reform is conservative. It is something that we can value because we can do things that others don't, because conservatives think outside of the box. We actually use our brain as opposed to some of our liberal colleagues. And one of the things that we can look at is accountability courts. Why aren't we in as conservatives? Why aren't we in there taking care of those when they come into the system and they're addicted to drugs, they're addicted to alcohol, they have mental health issues? We're the ones that say, we're going to pay, you're going to have to pay for what you did, but we're going to make sure that when you come out of this system, that you're going to be better to go back to your families, your homes, and become a productive member of society. That's what conservatives believe. I'm tired of a system that simply says, throw them all in jail, let them all go. Look, understand something. As a conservative, you believe in a higher power that looks at you and says, and I'm going to tell you something interesting for today. There's no matter where you go from this room or anywhere else, you're not going to find anybody else that you look in the eyes that is not dearly beloved of God. And when you understand that, just as we've made mistakes, you've made mistakes, it's time for us to lift people up. Conservatives are about lifting people up. Let's find new ways that we can actually protect society and also protect those that maybe need a second chance, that maybe need somebody like Donald Trump, who signed the First Step Act, to say, you know, we're going to actually put people in this guy. We're going to make sure that the bad people are put away and they're not getting out. But we're going to give somebody who wants to have a chance at a second life, a chance at going back to their communities, a chance to go back to their families. That's what conservatism is all about. Liberals will want to cancel you. Conservatives want to lift you up. That's what we need to be about. But one of the things is when you actually get into this, it's actually the stories of communities. It's actually understanding that for conservatives, we have to look at our communities differently. We're seeing the communities today that are torn apart by homes that are broken, fathers that are not there, moms that are struggling. We see communities right now that are racked with an inflation that's going up, with all the things that are struggling in our society today. And what do we get from the liberal administration? What do we get from the Biden administration? We get a lot of just talk. They're good at that. How many of you have had the pleasure of eating the word salads of the vice president or Joe Biden lately? I'm telling you what, I was on a show the other day and they said, well, it was like this salad dressing, and I just said this, I would rather have my salad dressing on real salad than salad dressing on my vice president who can't seem to put two sentences together. But when we look at this, when you go from CPAC, there's 2 or 3 things I want you to remember. The first is this, that all races matter. Not just people, but races on a ballot. It's not just the top. It's not just the middle. It is all the way down to your county commission, city councils, and yes, your school board races matter. Why do I say that? Because it is where the real work's getting done. Last year in Virginia, guess what? It was the school boards who arrogantly told parents, you're not a part of this society. You're not a part of talking to us. We know better than you. It is about prosecutors who are elected at a local level who are saying, I'm not going to prosecute crimes. I'm not going to keep our community safe. They are elected and they need you to stand up. That's the first step, is get involved all the way down the ticket. Be a part of this system. The other thing is this, is understand, and this is probably the biggest thing I want you to remember. Our founding fathers said that we were given life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness, not the guarantee of happiness. Liberals want you to believe that it is only the government that can make you happy. The government is going to take care of you. The government will give you everything you need. I'm here to tell you this morning, how many of you believe that conservative ideas are the best ideas? How many of you believe, and if you believe they're the right ideas, do you believe that America is the last greatest hope for this world? If you believe that conservatism is the last greatest hope for the world, then you can no longer be silent. You can no longer go to communities of color, go to other places and disallow them. You've got to bring them in. And criminal justice reform is just one area that conservatives can look at a world that is hurting, a world that is dying, a world that is in need of leadership that you'll see on this stage later tonight. They need leaders like you to stand up back home. And when they see you stand up, they will see that conservatism is not about exclusion. Conservatism is about bringing people in and making our homes and our families stronger. It's up to you, CPAC. Will you take the challenge? God bless you. We'll see you out there on the campaign trail.